Thank you, Father God, for bringing us here today, gathered wherever we are, for another blessed word, prayerfully that it reaches us, I pray that it reaches not only others, but reaches me too as well. For Father, forgive us for our sins and have mercy on our souls. Amen. Today, I have a message about a special gift from God, and how the gift is not always what you expect, and a lot of times not what you want. And it comes from Philemon 1, which is the only chapter of Philemon, verses 10, 12, and also 14 and 15. And it begins by saying, I beseech thee for my son Onesimus, who I have begotten in my bowels, which in time past was to thee unprofitable, but now profitable to thee and to me, whom I have sent again. Thou therefore receive him, that is mine own body. And 14 and 15 reads, but without thy mind would I do nothing, that the benefit should not be as it were of necessity, but willingly. For perhaps he therefore departed for a season, that now shouldest receive him forever. This is a letter to Philemon about somebody who was an ex-slave or an indentured servant. And he had wronged Philemon by not completing his debt, or maybe in some other ways. They never really go into the entire story. But here Paul is writing to Philemon, who's somebody he knew. And at the time, Philemon wasn't a Christian. And Philemon is now a good Christian with his own church and thriving in his own way. And everything is going good for Philemon until, lo and behold, Onesimus comes knocking at the door with a letter from Paul. And he's asking Philemon to receive him as a brother, as an equal, not only to himself, but as a Christian church. Bring him in, love him, feed him, treat him as if he were Paul himself. But as he's reading this letter, you can see that and kind of feel that Paul knows what Onesimus is, what Philemon is thinking. He's thinking about what this man has done to him, how he's wronged him, the anger, the hatred that he feels for him. He's thinking all of these things at the same time while reading this letter, and wondering, why do I have to accept what I'm reading in this letter? And I say that because to come from where I've come from my background as an adult, not as a child, but as an adult, and how in getting to my journey to the road to God and to Christ, how I detoured and I took some back streets and I tried to hide in some back alleys and I've been places and done things that are not considered of a good Christian life. And when people who are not of Christ see me walking in, knocking on the door, but not just me, but people like me, may not have done as bad or done things, but they never were walking in the line of Christ. And then when we walk in and we come back to God, and we've already seen what God has done and how he saved us, and we decide to go back to the church house, a lot of us look at us and say, well, you ain't got yourself together, or you have not righted all your wrongs, so you're not where I feel you should be. And that's where Philemon is. Philemon said he's feeling like if he was only where I wanted him to be, then I feel I could accept him better. If he was already right with God, and I was part of that process, or I knew and I wasn't a surprise, then yes, I could accept it. These are some of the thoughts that we have as Christian people when people come back to God. Well, just last month you were thinking like this. What was the change? It don't take all day. It don't take an hour. It don't take years. All it takes is a blink of an eye and less than that for God to change the hearts of man. Because Paul himself was a persecutor. He held the coats as they stoned Stephen. And God changed his heart. And changed the people that knew Paul for who he was. Amos had to go and pray with him. And he was on the run from him. And he had to think, well, God, you want me to stop running from this man and go pray with him? And I know he got a bounty on my head. But that's how God works. It's not in our time, it's in his time. And a lot of times we get wayward with the people coming in and how they come in, or what we know about them, or what we don't know about them, that we get off track with our own Christian walk, with our own following of Christ, with loving our neighbor and turning the other cheek and forgiving 70 times 7. We forget those things. And Paul had to remind Onesimus, had to remind Philemon about these things. And he's saying, just remember love. Remember charity. Remember that we have to humble ourselves and be uncomfortable in situations. Because here we are with two people uncomfortable about the situation. Onesimus knows what his relationship is with Philemon, and Philemon knows his relationship also. And they both have to come together and in some kind of way join in the walk with Christ, in the fight for Christian souls and Christians' lives. And before we cast anyone out, because we'll do it. We'll look at a person and just say, I don't quite think you're there. Or, I don't think you should be in that position. But we're saying it as in our own personal thoughts, never in the sight of what God can do. But let me tell you how he can deliver if we open our hearts. If we open our hearts, we know that iron sharpens iron. And two broke bulls, as ragged as they may look, if you bring them together, and you can lift 1,000-pound load. We so quick to judge, but we forget that God had also done us the same way. He knew that so-and-so was a gambler, and he knew that he could make money 1,000 kind of ways, just gambling away. But he changed his heart, and now he's building his community. He's building his church with those same thought processes of how to get money, but doing it the right way. A person could be someone who was in the streets all kind of ways, but he's a carpenter by trade. He can build things, and now he's assisting his church and his community. He's taking his talents and he's flipped them to serve them for God. And a lot of times we can't see the talents of people that God is bringing in. We only see what they've done. It's okay for us to take a left and a right. We've all taken a left and a right. It's part of the experience. It's part of the journey. I myself have taken several lefts and rights. And people can judge me for me being here right now. But the delivering grace of God is this. I can have conversations with those that are of today's generation. Because it's certain things that people can talk about that they won't talk about with somebody who's in the church. I can sit down and I can play cards and eat at the barbecues, and we can laugh and joke, and you can feel comfortable asking me things and talking to me about things, and I can tell you how I battled some of those things, or I'm a little bit closer to walking in some people's shoes than others. I'm a fresh of breath air, if we're honest. We can all go to our pastor and get the honest word of God. We can get all the things that a pastor is supposed to give to their parishioners. But every now and again, there's some things that bothers us and plagues us that we need somebody a little more closer to the situation. And as I grow in my Christian walk, I realize that I've been close to a lot of situations that I can give a different perspective than somebody who's just came up and maybe lied here or there or stole $1 or two. I can talk about some things that God has saved me from and delivered me from. And the delivering grace of God is this: if I wait till I was perfect, until I got everything right, then God will get no glory. If I came in with a clean slate, like I done right by you or done right by you, if I came in clean, squeaky clean, and my life is together, and all my relationships and jobs and everything is all right, and my clothes are always clean, then where's the glory? Where does God get the glory? In Judges 7:2, he told Gideon, I need you to get a certain size army because your army is too big. And if I just give the Mennonites to you, then the Israelites, as they will do, they will say, well, we won this war by our own hand. And we are at war every day with ourselves. We are at war every day with the world. We are at war. And right now, God is saying, I'm going to deliver you, but I'm going to deliver some brokenness, the lesser than. And that's how I'm going to deliver not only you and your life, but all of us. Right now, we are not quite where we want to be. We have our own uneasiness right now with the COVID. It's coming to our lives, and we know what it is. We know what it does. We know the outcome of it. But it's affecting us, and God is saying, well, just hold on and accept what it's doing. I don't know if I can do that. But remember when I accepted you in your situation and I saved you when you asked me for help? This whole thing is, if we're looking at it just from the disease, it's devastating, it's hurtful, it's scary. But what has it really done? It's caused us to get closer to our homes. It's caused us to be more interactive with our children. It's caused us to be more mindful of the money that we spend. It caused us to be mindful of so many little things that has nothing to do with the actual disease and the virus that's running around. And for that, a lot of us can thank God, because we may have been this close from losing that relationship. We may have been this close to not knowing what is going on with our children. We have been this close from so many things, but being gathered together in one home and just around each other. We accept and we understand, and we have another love for what God can do and deliver us through. And this is very hard for us. It's very hard. And I ask this to say this. In the Christian, in Christ, and just as regular everyday people, we ask that you have to control your soul. Right now, God controlled our circle with this virus. Our circle is now in our actual home, the ones in our homes. And then we start to think about, who do we trust? Who do I know is doing the same things to protect their family as me? Well, I'll visit and talk to them. But you realize that some people you don't even talk to anymore, or you barely talk to. You don't reach out to them as much during this time. But the question is, how can we circle ourselves with better people if those better people will not accept us. That's the trend right now. If you don't feel like I'm good enough to be in your home or around you during this time, I probably won't be your friend when this is all over. But God can deliver us. He delivered Paul. He delivered Moses. And Moses came from Pharaoh's home, went down and became a slave. And that was hard for them to accept because of where he came from. We all come from somewhere. We all come from a place that may not be justifiable in your life. We may have done things that you feel are a greater sin than the other. But I ask that you remember what God delivered you from and delivered some of your closest friends and families and how you've seen people come from here or there and be better Christians and walk in a greater light. I ask that you just open your hearts to what God can do and see that he can change anyone. And that's the gift that a lot of us don't realize at times, that God can change anyone. But when he does, it's just something that it just continues to be a hard pill to swallow. And I close with, open your hearts. You never know who or what is changing around you. You never know how you may change. And you may be in a situation to face some folks in your past. But God can deliver you. May his grace be unto you. Amen. I welcome an open invitation to anyone that's out there, to any church, here at St. Louis, and we ask that you just find Christ, find home, find somewhere to fellowship more than the random occurrence that you have in your life when things are bad. Because things are good, but it's lessons we need to learn when things are good. It's lessons we need to learn that we can't get from nowhere else but God. Father God, in the name of Jesus, though we daily struggle, guide us, Lord. Guide us and keep us. Guide us the way that you would have us to go. Deliver us from the world, deliver us from ourselves. Help us, God, to forgive as you have daily give and monthly forgiven us. Forgive us for our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. Amen.
So we're sitting here with KT, and what a mighty word, a special gift from God, from the book of Philemon. And we just got a couple of questions that we want to throw your way and see what message you want to send out to those who are listening today. First one, what are you praying for during this time?
I'm praying for peace and understanding with myself. This time has caused a lot of us to reflect on our own lives and how we've been living it, whether it's financially or relationships with our families. I pray that those can be mended as they should. It causes me to cut the world off, the media, the TV off, and just get to know me, get to know the ones that are around me, that I'm around daily.
All right. Well, what message would you tell those who are watching and listening today? What would you send out to them?
That it's a special gift in people when they come to Christ, and all people that come to Christ. And if we would just accept those that are coming to Christ as they are, knowing that instead of judging them from where we you think they come from, or their mentality. If we can just rub off a little bit on it, we rub ourselves off a little, they become better Christians. They become stronger Christians. And that's where we should be with anyone that comes to Christ.
Awesome. Well, God bless you. God keep you. Amen.